Hi, I'm Dustin Mason from Performance Lexus in St. Catharines. And this is the most important redesign of any vehicle in the entire Lexus lineup, the new 2023 RX 350. Now there's a lot to unpack here, so I'm going to go through as much of it as I can, but there will be more videos walking you through some of the finer details. RX is super important to the Lexus lineup for a number of reasons. One being, the RX has been the best-selling mid-size luxury vehicle, or luxury SUV, for many years, pretty much since its inception. And we haven't seen a refresh to this vehicle since late 2015, I guess a full redesign since late 2015, with a mid-cycle refresh in 2020. So what was Lexus saving all that R&D for? Well, let me show you. So the new RX has multiple different model lines. We have the RX 350, which is a gas 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. We have a RX 350H, which is a 4-cylinder with a hybrid powertrain, non-turbo, and yes, it can take regular gas. Then we have the RX 500H, which is the 2.4 liter turbo engine mated with a hybrid drivetrain. So that one is a little bit more tailored to performance than it is to the fuel-saving hybrid that the 350H is. Now this one here is the S-Sport Series 2 RX 350 gas. Some of the little details I want to point out to you, we can see from even just the front end here. So we have a frameless front grille, so very similar to Lexus's F-Sport grills in the past, except for now, you can kind of see the grille fade into the bodywork, which is really cool. We don't see that chrome frame around it anymore, which is a really modern take on the vehicle. And to me, it still really differentiates it from the NX, from the little brother, the NX 350. Another really interesting thing, if you look closely at the front emblem of the new RX, you might see some squiggly lines going down. And you might wonder, what is that? Well, in Canada, which is where we are now, one of my pet peeves has always been that my Lexus emblem is always covered in snow in the wintertime. Actually, some of my neighbors have made fun of me that the first thing I brush off in the morning is my Lexus emblem so that I can show everybody I drive a Lexus. Now, that emblem is actually heated. So not only will everybody be able to see that you drive a Lexus, you won't have to brush it off. It'll just happen on itself. I picture in my head me driving in the road with a snow-covered front grille and having my Lexus emblem still stick out from the snow. I love that part. It's very Canadian. Some of the details that we see on the front here. Now this one being the S-Sport 2, it is just a single LED headlight, but there is the triple beam LED headlight available. But these new daytime running lights really split up kind of that front combination lamp. And actually moving even further down then, if you just look down here, this part of the grille you'll notice is real. And what I mean by that is that's a real vent going to cool off those brakes and tires that I'm gonna get to in a second. And then we have a nice little fog light cornering lamp thing there, which if you haven't driven at nighttime and you've seen like the curb light up, it's one of my favorites, especially in the snow, to be able to just see more ground in front of me. I'm a taller guy, so I'm always looking down at that, so it does help a little bit. Now, super exciting about the new RX and it also shows us a little bit of what's coming to the Lexus lineup, and that is the term F-Sport doesn't mean just styling anymore. Lexus is trying to give it some performance cues as well. So if you come over here, I'll show you. This being the F-Sport, you can see how absolutely massive these brakes are. This is something that would be on like an LC500, not the grocery getter SUV, which this definitely isn't anymore. And the F-Sport gives it this much bigger brake caliper and brake rotors, just the whole setup is a lot more aggressive. Now while I'm down here, I'll show you this little body line right here. Really interesting. This is also a real vent. So it's not just for show, it's not just a decoration. We can even see some venting in the fender, but even right here is still aerodynamic, which is really cool to see. Now as we move to the side, you'll see we have our little F-Sport emblem here. On the RX 500, it's more the F Performance. And that emblem has a little tweak to it, so pay attention to that. If you've ever seen RX 500 in the wild, definitely take a look at that. Moving to the side of the vehicle, you can really see how big that front end is, how much it flows to the back. Now what Lexus wanted to do was they wanted to refresh the car and redesign it fully top to bottom, but they wanted to still leave some cues so that people knew and know that it's still an RX. And that's what you kind of see in the side profile here. We still have that kind of flowing rear glass shaped kind of panel there, which gives it really a flowy kind of sleek look, and the body lines that come swooping up the bottom to the top also kind of complements that as well. Then moving to the back here, we do have some really nice, again, grill style venting here at the bottoms of the rear bumper. Also, you'll notice, sorry, one more thing, the fenders are no longer that matte black. They're actually painted body color, which is nice. So we saw that on some special edition RXs in the past few years. Now it comes standard. And it's nice that even as this little bit extra mud flap, it's really stylish. And I'm sure it's pretty useful too. Now for the back of the vehicle, I do want to show you the taillight turned on. So just bear with me. There it is. So we have a full width LED tail lamp. That, in my opinion, it's like when you underline something to get your point across, it underlines the new Lexus logo at the back. So instead of just having the L emblem, we have it spelt out LEXUS, and it's underlined in bold with that new tail light, which is really, really cool. Now on this one, you're gonna see it's the RX 350 all-wheel drive. As I mentioned before, we also have the RX 350H, which is the hybrid one. That uses a CVT transmission and a hybrid powertrain, mainly tailored to have a smooth and very fuel-efficient ride. Then we have the RX 500H. That one has direct drive. It has a 6-speed transmission, which, as you can already tell, that's not going to be the most fuel-efficient, but it's powerful. I was lucky enough to be able to drive the RX 350 as well as the RX 500H in the mountains of Victoria, BC, just a couple weeks ago, and I'm telling you, if I didn't know I was in an RX, I would have thought I was in some high-end sports luxury sedan, because it was very smooth, lots of power. It was really well planted on the road. It was raining that day, but with the new suspension setup, like to put in perspective, the old adaptive suspension only could really adapt a little bit. Now there's gonna be over 600 adaptations as you're driving. So it's really constantly tuning itself and feeling the road and anticipating what you want the car to do, and able to make a smooth drive, great handling, and still have the car do what you want it to do while driving. So in a rainy mountain setting, I still didn't sacrifice any comfort at all, which was great. But anyway, that is something to look for when you're looking at these RXs. Now we have a very quick, very smooth rear tailgate that opens up to quite the large space here. All Lexuses come with both the books and the medic kit back here, which is great. And also 2 sets of mats, summers and like a rubber winter mat. Most of the time, I just leave the rubber winter mats in, but some of my guests like to swap those out in the spring. It's kind of like their first introduction to spring is when they put those carpets in. But yeah, back here, nothing too crazy. We do have on this side here, I'll just lean in, a couple switches to fold down those rear seats, which is kind of nice. And we also have a little outlet there as well. And super important that most people probably don't realize is we have a hook for groceries, which is really important because I don't know about you, but if you ever put grocery bags kind of just sitting in the back of your trunk and you turn a corner and all of a sudden your Wonder Bread is rolling around the back trunk, having that little hook on each side of the trunk gives you something to be able to hook to, which is nice. Another thing you'll notice, if I had the key on me, when I hit the lock button, that trunk will stay open until the key walks away from the car. So if you can imagine, let's say you did just get back from the grocery store and you grab all you open the trunk, hit that lock button, it's not gonna shut yet, grab all your groceries, start to walk away, then you'll hear it shut and lock, which is really, really cool. Walking to the other side of the RX, we have the electronic door handle, which we just saw for the first time in the NX. In that video, I probably said it was my favorite feature, and it still is my favorite feature in the new NX. I think all other handles are, I don't know, it seems like a thing of the past with these new electric door handles. Just just the way you go to leave and how you can just press on it with your thumb instead of having to, use your elbow and arm to push it open. And another really, really cool detail that a lot of people are gonna miss, but I absolutely love, is when you feel the inside of that handle. So let's say I was sitting in the back seat and I go to shut that door. It's hard to describe. Imagine like a satin rubber is like all I can really say. It's really grippy. It feels like there's a lot of, structure to it. I mean, anybody that grew up in the 90s remembers closing, some old clunky car and having the handle almost come with you after the door shuts. This has a really good feel to it, and it is super solid as well. Now, in the event of emergency, if there isn't any power to the vehicle anymore, you can also just open the car door by pulling on this, kind of like so. And same thing on the outside, when it's activated, there is a way to open up that door. If you want to just take a look here, it's going to beep at us a little bit. By pulling on the front, you can kind of just pull that and that'll open the latch. So I'll show you one more time. It's latched and then we can pull it like that. I will be honest, doing it from the outside, you do have to put a little bit of pressure on it and it hurts a little bit, but it's kind of meant for emergencies if there was power cut off to the vehicle, and that's the only way to get in. While we're walking around, I just want to point out this other little detail here. So again, we see kind of that little Lexus signature on the side profile of the lights, which is a first that I haven't seen in the lineup before. So that's just a really cool detail as well. Now, if you want, I can show you in the interior of the back seat. So back here, we do have a couple new features that we didn't see in the RX before. The first thing is there is a ton of space back here. So again, I'm about 6'1". I could fit back here with two other people, no problem, and still be quite comfy. These seats on this particular package are power. So I have a little switch here at the bottom that I can use to adjust kind of the tilt, which is nice. But also, we have our own climate control back here, which we'll show a zoom in shot of later. Heated and cooled rear seats. So these two outer rear seats are heated and cooled. Again, first time in the RX to have cooled seats in the back, which is really, really cool to see. No pun intended. And the climate control that you can adjust yourself for the back, which is really nice. Now, moving to the front of the interior. And again, I don't know if the lighting's gonna allow for this, but we're gonna try it anyway. The first thing that you're greeted by, you might walk right by it, but as you enter the vehicle, if you just look at this door panel here, we have Ultra Suede, which is a synthetic suede material. It's durable, it's very soft to touch, and as far as I know, it's enviro friendly. I might have to check that out, but I'm pretty sure it's enviro friendly. And there's a really nice kind of Lexus signature on there as well. The interior is super impressive to me. What we noticed is it's elegant and simple, and there's nothing unnecessarily going on here. And that's kind of what the luxury car experience is to me in 2023, is we don't need a bunch of buttons flashing at us all the time anymore. We just want something that as we're driving, we're not overwhelmed, we can focus on driving, still have all the luxuries and amenities we need, but still have a calming interior space. And that's exactly what they've done here. Even as you can look across the cabin, I hope it shows up on the camera, that suede wraps all the way up to the top of the dash, which is really, really nice. And again, anything you touch here is a higher end material. We have some nice piano black accents. And when you come and sit in the RX for the first time and you put your foot on the brake, you'll notice the start stop button will kind of flash in a way like a heartbeat, which is pretty cool. I don't think we'll be able to show it right now, but it is really cool. Now, same infotainment system as the NX, which is really great. It takes a little bit to get used to set up, but once you have it set up, people absolutely love it. It is kind of like the same touch screen glass that you would have on your smartphone. So really responsive, very quick, all that stuff I love a lot. Also, a really cool feature that is on this particular F-Sport model is on the steering wheel here. You'll see, normally there would be, labels on the buttons around the steering wheel. And right now there isn't. And the reason for that is that on the heads-up display, when I simply press my thumb on either the left or the right, I can see illuminated what those buttons are labeled as. And the reason Lexus did that is to add some customization so that, you know, this doesn't necessarily mean up, down, left, right for music. It could also be, you know, how to change my cruise control or how to customize my display as I'm driving. And you can really customize those buttons to be whatever you want them to be that's offered. And you don't have to just have them set up the way that, you know, the factory decided for you. You can change them a little bit, which is nice. You know, and it's also kind of nice because it encourages you to look at the road, because that's what the heads-up display is really keeping your vision, right? Is looking outside of the vehicle, at where you're going, not at your steering wheel, trying to figure out the buttons. So it's very ergonomic. There's even little notches there that you can feel for, you know, where you are in that. And that's how you activate things like the new adaptive cruise control, which is super exciting because when your cruise control is on, you can actually just soft touch the signal down or up, so left or right, for a couple seconds, and the vehicle will change lanes for you. Now, some people say, why do I need the vehicle to change lanes for me? I have to be in control anyways. Yes, you do have to be in control, but I'll tell you, I was driving on my way here today, and just being able to do this while I'm on the highway and have the vehicle, you know, kind of checking my blind spots for me, doing a safe lane change for me, and again, the conditions were right today, so I felt like I could trust it, was just kind of like a really relaxing part of the drive. It required so little effort that I could see in a longer driving situation, those concerns of fatigue and stuff like that would be non-existent. So that's really cool. We also have some other new safety features that I won't get into right now because I could spend a whole video on them. Things like traffic jam assist, which is a brand new technology to the Lexus lineup and really, really cool. It's one more step towards autonomous driving for sure. Road sign assist, so the vehicle can, you know, recognize the road signs around you, like a stop sign. It'll show up there. Another cool one that you should look into, and again, we can do a whole video on it, is proactive driving assist. New technology, take a look, it's really cool. Other than that, as the newest Lexus safety system with lane departure, adaptive cruise, intuitive parking, all of that stuff on this vehicle. And I haven't tried it out myself, but I heard this, is when you have the adaptive cruise control on and your vehicle needs to slow down, you'll actually see a little indication show up that your brake lights are on. Because a lot of people always had that question of, if my vehicle's slowing down, will the car behind me know it? Like, does it show the brake lights? And it does, and it even shows you on here, which is really, really cool. The rest of the interior, I hope you can see it on the camera. We have the armrest that originated in the LS and the ES, and now the NX and RX, where you can open it from both sides. We have a really nice compartment here that has wireless charging for your phone, and it's got a nice lip around it so that even if you don't use a case and you're worried about your phone kind of getting messed around there, it does keep it nice and planted, which is cool. And a favorite feature in the RX since 2016 is still here, which I love, and that's the fact that you can put a large Tim Hortons cup, push it all the way down, or an extra large, and you have some extra depth there. And you know, if you just press this little button, it brings the bottom of that cup up. So that's just on that front cup holder, but they were able to retain it, which is really, really cool, in my opinion. Lots of charging ports, lots of other driving modes here. You'll notice they did get rid of the actual dial for sport mode and eco mode and that sort of thing. Now it's all through the screen. So all you're gonna do is hit the vehicle icon and you can hit sport, eco, normal. And like I said, that adaptive suspension, especially the one that's in like the 500H, has so many different adaptations it's gonna do while driving. So it is really good just to let the car do the thinking for you, kind of. That's pretty much it. I'm sure I can spend a lot more time in here. Also, really, really cool thing that I can't show you on this vehicle is for the higher packages that have, and actually I'm just gonna turn this on so we can see the headlights as we walk up. For the higher packages that have the rear view mirror with the toggle that you can turn it from just a mirror to an actual camera screen, the camera is located at the top of the rear window inside. So a lot of other manufacturers are putting that camera outside the vehicle. Again, this is Canada, so we want to protect as much of our electronics from the elements as we can. and that's on the inside of the glass, which is really, really nice. A couple other things I want to talk about. So a lot of people said, why a 4-cylinder? You know, we love the V6 in the RX 350, the 2022. It's like, you know, 295 horsepower, all this stuff. I'm here to tell you that on paper, this vehicle did not drive as well as I thought it was going to. The opposite of that. It drove way better than I thought the paperwork told me it was gonna drive. And what I mean by that is, I didn't realize that it's 200 pounds lighter than that V6 350. So we have a turbo 4-cylinder that's hung lower in the vehicle for where it's mounted, and that helps with the handling. But it feels faster, and actually if you look at the specs, it is faster than the current V6, which was huge for me because I've loved the V6, I've loved the power plant on that. And also too, because of it's a 4-cylinder turbo, it does take premium gas. When I did the math, even with the premium gas, the fuel savings make up for the price of the premium gas within the first year. So you're getting more power, you're getting a quicker acceleration, you're getting better fuel economy and better handling because of this new power plant, which is really great. And because there's so much insulation inside the vehicle, you don't have to worry about like the sound of the 4-cylinder versus the sound of the V6. The interior cabin absolutely sounds amazing, especially in the RX 500h in those Sport Performance packages. So, like I said, there's so much more I could talk about with this new RX, but I'm gonna cut it off there because I'm probably rambling on. But stay tuned, there are gonna be more videos about this for sure. We are a dealership located in St. Catharines, Ontario, and we're part of the Performance Auto Group. So if you like this video, please hit subscribe, comment below if you have any questions, and stay tuned because we are gonna do a lot more videos at Performance Lexus on the new RX and some other new things coming to the Lexus lineup. Okay, thanks for watching and we'll take care. Bye.